Treasure Island is a brilliant episode of Postcards from Buster for numerous reasons. This is the 38th episode of the first season, very nearly at the end of the first season now. And in this one, they're in Puerto Rico. And I will say there was some really great information about Puerto Rico, and I learned quite a bit. But it's also a very vivid episode because of the narrative structure. Mora and Carlos are in the recording studio, and Carlos is having some writer's block. But it turns out that 20 years ago, when he was in Puerto Rico, he put together a kind of time capsule in a metal lunchbox. And while he's busy in the recording studio, he asks Buster to go and find this time capsule. And he happens to find it quite quickly with the help of a friend of Carlos's, George. And George and Buster unravel some mysteries inside this time capsule box, and they go and explore the area, and Buster gets to experience the things that Carlos experienced, and he has to describe them on the video camera to Carlos, which is a really brilliant way for us as a viewer to experience things that Buster is experiencing, because not only do we have the visual, but Buster describes things he's hearing, things he's smelling and tasting, and I thought it was a very immersive experience. There was one thing that seemed really unbelievable, and it's at the very beginning when they open the time capsule and they pull out the first thing, and I won't say what it is, well actually I might in a moment, but they pull out the first thing and then immediately run off and explore this first thing. And I thought, no, that's not what. No, you'd have to look at everything in that box first, wouldn't you? I don't think anybody could look at one thing and then put the time capsule aside after 20 years. I'd be digging in there looking at everything first. But after that, everything was very plain sailing. Sailing being a key word, because they go flying kites and they look at some etchings in rocks that I thought was really fascinating. The history is really interesting. There's a lot about the Native Americans who used to live there, and how the area has changed over the time, and how there are still echoes of the past around, which I thought was brilliant. A very vivid episode, brilliant tactic to have Buster describing all of these things. And I really got a strong sense of the area. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. This is exactly what every Postcards from Buster should be like. Really nice overarching narrative. I will say, word of advice, the sandwich. If you're doing a time capsule, don't put the same thing in. I can't imagine that would be a very good idea. But definitely very Buster. That's a very Buster thing to do, which I thought was quite sweet. So yeah, really, really thoroughly enjoyed Treasure Island. Definitely got a great sense of the area. It's very well filmed. We have mentions of previous episodes, such as with the boogie board, which again was very well filmed with the splashes of water and things. Really nothing about this that didn't work. Okay, so there was the bit where they looked at one thing in the time capsule and then closed it up again. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty fabulous episode.